Stand and we'll pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Bill,
Thank you.
Can you give me that agenda down there?
Yeah. Let's remember our service men and women are out there fighting and dying for us on a daily basis and to protect us so we can all share this freedom that we have today. So just keep them in our prayers. The first item on the agenda would be the considered approval of the minutes of the May 14th, 2014, and the May 22nd meeting, which was a special meeting.
I would move that we approve the minutes for May 15th and May 22nd.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is consider register of claims totaling $1,337,794.21.
I have reviewed the claims and move that we pay the claims as presented.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Under old business, we have no old business today. Under new business, we're going to consideration of a change order for the primary power replacement project, and I believe, John, you're going to handle that. John's our plant manager, John Barlow.
John Barlow, Water Pollution Control Superintendent. We have the primary power project at the plant, did a full upgrade and replacement of our entire electrical infrastructure. And we have the original contract was for $3.6 million and some change. We have one single change order, which is this change order number one. Added with the deducts and adders, the net add for this contract was $18,873, and also added 11 days to the original contract. This work, final completion should be done next week on the 3rd. Only punch list items are remaining. We did all the testing on the emergency genset and the electrical grid. It's all online. It all passed all the tests that we did last Thursday. And this change order had some changes during the contract and some added work that we authorized. And it will be the single change order for the project. So I asked the board if they would consider accepting this.
Okay, John, what was the total project cost again?
The total project cost was $3.366 million.
Sounds like you had pretty tight controls out there. I mean, if you're down to 18,000 change order here.
We kept a pretty tight rein on everything else. We had several items that we were able to go ahead and get credit for, so it made the other adders a little bit more palatable. And then we were able to go ahead and, as some of the electrical work is remaining from earlier. Mm-hmm. We wanted to make darn sure if we spent the money on all this new stuff that the existing stuff checked out okay. So we spent some money to make sure all the testing and the infrastructure that was remaining was in good shape.
You know, people don't think about the plant out there until when they flush that commode, it doesn't go anywhere. So, and obviously with all that electrical work, it's a very important part of the deal. So
the electrical stuff had been there since the 50s. We had stuff there had been the 80s. It was in disrepair. This is a pretty much state-of-the-art closed transitions, which means that if we lose power, the genset automatically comes on, but when we regain power, it does it in a transition that's seamless. You don't lose power again when you switch back over. And we went through the, as I said, several different transitions last Thursday, and it went excellent.
Great. Any questions?
I would move that we accept the change order number one on primary power replacement.
And I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, John. Next is consideration of a change order to the levee tree removal project. And Rick Conrad, our department head there in water quality, will.
Rick Conrad, Director, Bureau of Water Quality. The tree removal project has been progressing this year, and this is part of the Army Corps' requirement to maintain our flood protection system. In the process of removing some of these trees across from McCulloch Park, across the river from McCulloch Park, they have exposed what looks like an old dump site, mainly just large debris, and it's primarily large blocks of concrete. So we'd like to get that cleaned up, and we've looked at a couple options, either removing everything or just filling in what can be left there, which is, like, again, primarily concrete. And the cheapest option was removing tires, anything metal, but leaving the concrete and filling it in with borrow. So that is our change order that we'd like to propose.
How much is that change order for?
It is $15,000, $15,805.64.
Okay. Okay, obviously, we don't want to take trees down. And we did save a lot of trees by appealing to the Army Corps of Engineers, but it's a very expensive project to take the rest of it down. And, but it's just, they deem it necessary for the safety of the public, to protect that levee. So, and this would fall right under that as a necessary expenditure, in my opinion. So, Joe, any questions?
Just one question, maybe a clarification. With the removal of this stuff in the levee, that helps to certify that piece of the levee, right?
Yes,
Rick?
it would have to be dealt with eventually, just no one saw it until the trees are removed. It'll remove an eyesore and potentially a hazard, because we're opening it up and we're going to be allowing easier access to it too, so it just seems to make sense to.
I will move to accept the change order for the McCulloch Park tree removal.
And I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Rick. Thanks for a good job. Next is a considerable change order to the levee tree removal project at the Phillips Quarry. Rick, you're up to bat.
And this change order was actually due to a change that the Army Corps made in the middle of our bidding process when we originally set up the bidding process to remove the trees. They had added an area that is inside the flood wall at the Phillips Quarry. We didn't include it in the bid process at that time because we hadn't spoken to anyone at Phillips Quarry about it. We didn't know if our tree removal company was going to be able to get that much done this year. They are progressing well, so now we have the option to add this as essentially using the same per unit cost in our original bid, and this should take us to 95 to 99% completion of all the tree removal requirements of the Corps. They may have some additional in the future. I certainly won't guarantee that they won't come back every year and find a few more, but we're looking at the difference between dozens to 100 for maybe one or two. So this would put us past that.
And what was the total?
And the total for this is for 38 trees, for removal of the trees and stump grindings, and 5 additional stumps that are just stumps right now. It is $24,708.80.
Which again sounds extremely high, and somebody I'm sure is going to say, well, that's so much dollar per tree, but it's not. It's more than just me going out and taking a chainsaw and cutting down a tree. You have to remove the roots, you have to dig it up, you have to fill it in a certain way. So there's a lot of procedures that are required by the Army Corps of
Very
Engineers.
specific guidance from the Corps that has to be
Right.
followed. Yeah.
Okay. Joe, you have any questions?
No, I would move that we accept the change order at the Phillips Quarry for the tree removal.
I would second that motion. I'd also like to thank the people that own the Phillips Quarry for being very cooperative with us. They worked with us very well and tried to ascertain who owned what property and what needed to be done there. So I think that they have really been very cooperative, so thank you. Okay, that's the only items on our agenda. Next item would be for public comment. So this would be the time for anybody from the public who wants to make a comment to come forward and just give us your name and address and.
Paul Hall, 3816 East Nancy Lane, Muncie, Indiana. I appeared before this board on May 1st discussing the sewage leak on my property. Since that time, the sanitary district, I spoke with Mr. Anderson. I received a verbal commitment from him that department was going to correct that leak on my property. That required by me was to get a notarized statement providing them right of way, which I did. Shortly after that, he called me a week later, told me, actually I reaffirmed with him that all we were waiting on was this to get put on the schedule. I had the money set aside to correct this problem myself. Once I received a commitment from this department, I then allocated that money to another repair. A week after he gave me that commitment, I've been told they are not going to fix the problem. So in essence, what's happened here is a month of my time has been wasted, and the ability for me to correct this problem by myself is gone. This department, the lack of professionalism that I've experienced in this whole thing is absolutely disgusting. I've been told multiple times, we'll call you in 2 to 3 days, it takes a week. When I was told that this was not going to happen, I left repeated phone calls from Mr. Barton, from Ms. Grigsby. None of them have returned any of my phone calls. I think if a decision is made that affects somebody's financial well-being and decisions that they make on, they at least should have the decency to return a phone call.
Well, let me say this, that, you know, you're one in, let's see, 15 years that's actually I've ever heard come up here with these kind of comments. And, you know, my recollection of this is that the health department had closed you all down out there in that area. And you were on what you call something like a bucket and carry or something?
No, I am not. I actually am the only property in that whole subdivision that has a separate finger system.
Okay.
I actually have a letter in writing from the health department allowing this pipe to be fixed.
Okay, so basically, my understanding at this point in time, and Joe's a construction guy, I'm not a construction guy, is that you are scheduled to be us to go ahead and net all those homes out there that we had. Let me just say that whole area has come to us, maybe you're the exception, and they had a problem. So we were the knights on the white horse to come in and say, okay, we'll annex you into the district, we'll put grinder pumps in, and we'll solve your problem.
Sure.
And that's what we're in the process of doing. And that is, now, Joe, do you want to take it over from
That's-
there? Because
yeah.
that's where we are.
To my understanding, your area will be annexed. That's in the paperwork right now. Once it's annexed, it allowed us, as the district, it will just be annexed into our sanitary district. We'll be able to come back then and design a system that will work in your area, and we will come back and allow you people in the area to get on this system.
I mean, I'm well aware of the new
Hang on a
sewer.
minute, let me finish.
Okay,
And then-
yes, sir.
And then once that's done, then you will be allowed to pay for this through the old Barrett law, 5 years or something.
So
That's
the-
But it's not gonna happen overnight.
Well, Mike,
And-
yeah,
And that's the whole point.
And our attorney here would tell you at this point in time is that, very honestly, you're technically not even in the district at this point in time. So we're striving to get through all the legal work to get you into the district, get all the homes out there that have a problem into the district, take care of all the problems out there, and that's what we're doing. And you know, my last estimate that I've got is that this thing, because you're not the only problem that we have, okay? It, you know, is probably, and I don't want to commit to this, but in the next 60 days or so, they'll have this project started. So I guess from the last meeting you were here, and the research that we got was basically what I just told you. One, the annexation of that area hasn't been even taking place yet. And again, if some phone calls didn't get back to you and the communication wasn't as good as it should have been on this, I'll take part of that, okay? All right, because very frankly, I didn't know exactly what was happening, at least since the last 2 weeks. Then, very honestly, it was whether to call you and explain it to you, or just come, we knew you'd be here today, to explain it to you today. So basically, I just chose to say, well, if he's coming to the meeting, let's just talk to him at the meeting. So I could have called you 2 or 3 days ago and told you this, but I didn't.
And, I mean, I understand the sewers are here, and that's not my problem. My problem is that Mr. Anderson, in the professional capacity of his job, gave me a commitment that they were gonna dig this pipe up and fix it. He had me get a notarized document giving them the right-of-way, which I have a copy of it right here. That's the problem that I had.
Can I see
My financial decisions were made on what he told me this department was gonna do.
I see what you have there, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do you have an extra copy? Is that the only copy you have?
have this copy if you like it.
Thank you.
Had I been told that, you know, you guys were not gonna fix the problem. I had the money set aside to take care of this myself. That's why I got the letter from the health department, and I would have done so. But when a person in professional capacity gives me a commitment and has me go do this and tells me that they're gonna take care of this, I expect that it should probably get done. I don't think it's right that they can go through all this, give me a commitment, and then just change their mind.
Once again, the project will go forward. May not be in the time frame that you would like to see it done. We've got a lot going on in this city with what we're trying to do to clean up some of the major problems that have been let go for years. We have an engineering group, and they are busy. We're trying to design things that make it work for everybody. We're gonna work with you as best we can to get your problem solved. I understand you've spent your money or whatever, but you're still gonna get the project done. You'll get to pay it back in a different form. It'll be done. Everybody in the whole neighborhood will benefit from this. So I understand you may be upset, but we'll try to work through this and get the project on track, get it going for you as soon as possible.
As far as financially goes, and we realize that some people, I mean, you happen to have the money, which was a blessing, and that some people don't. So that we reenacted almost what they used to be the Barrett Law, where somebody could pay simple interest for over a period of time. So in these projects, we're authorizing that we'll fix it at ours, we'll do the work at our expense, simple interest over a certain period of time, which will make it very affordable to do that. So what I'm understanding, I just want to make sure, is as we do this project and do the grinder pumps, well, that will solve your problem. And I just want to make sure that that's the case.
That'll eventually solve the problem,
Well-
but it doesn't address the issue now with everybody else's leaking sewage in my backyard. It doesn't address the issue that I received a commitment, again, which that document backs up from this department, that's not being honored.
And this, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you do not live in the district right now.
Well, if
Well,
you
you
look
don't-
at the map, according to the map that you get on Beacon, the backyard property is within the Muncie Sanitary District. I brought a copy of that
Okay,
as well.
but, I mean, you would agree that we're trying to get you into the district to be able to spend?
Yeah.
Okay. The problem is to jump through the hoops the state wants on doing that is, I mean, they make you do all kinds of things, and it's not always up to us how quickly that can happen. We cannot, as the attorney for the district, I would be committing malpractice if I would say to anybody, let's go do a job, or let's go spend money on a place that's not that's out of the district at this point. And that's why we have to, I think these guys are saying that and the commitment, it's my understanding is the commitment is still there. It's just a matter of timing, because we have to jump through certain hoops to be able to spend that money and to do those projects. So, about the phone calls not being returned, I don't know anything about that. But it's my understanding, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, the project or whatever's gonna be done out there will be done, but there's certain hoops that we have to jump through that aren't exactly easy, and it's aggravating for us as much as it is for, not as much for you, but as any legal process is extremely aggravating. It's not a matter of just going out there and doing it. We have to do certain things. So and I appreciate this right of entry. That will certainly speed things up. But you also got to remember that we've got to get these right of entries for everybody. We've got to, so there's a lot more to it than that. And I understand your aggravation. I understand all that, but they're working on it, and we can't spend money on something that is outside the district at this point. You just can't. It's just not that. It's just that simple.
And why did he tell me they were gonna dig up this pipe and fix it to stop the
Well,
leak
I
on
think
my
I think
property?
he is going to do that, but it's just a matter of time.
No, you guys are putting in sewers. The commitment
Well,
I received from him is
my-
this specific leak that they were gonna fix.
I don't know this problem. All I'm saying is they're going to do the work. It's a matter of time. And I don't know what conversation you're talking about.
Ask
and
Mr. Anderson.
Well, and I'm not trying to aggravate you. I'm just, as the attorney, I'm just trying to explain. I don't know the conversations you guys had. I don't know. I'm not accusing you of lying. I'm not accusing him of doing something wrong. I'm just telling you that there's a lot of red tape and a lot of things that we have to do before we can start this work. And it's not, and when Mr. Anderson told you that, He might not have been aware of it. I don't know. I wasn't privy to that conversation, so I don't know the answer to your question. I understand your concern. I appreciate it, but it's just a matter of, it's just gonna be a matter of timing, is what I'm hearing and what I understand.
Thanks for
Can
your
I approach the
time.
board?
Yeah, please.
Tracy Barton, Superintendent, Sewer Maintenance Engineering. To put a little light on this, Michael, this actual pipe is on private property. We never do any work on private property. I think Mr. Anderson was following his orders to try and help this property owner. Once the board realized it was on private property and had not been put into the sanitary district yet, that's when we stopped.
So when he told him that, he was under the understanding that he could do the work, and now has other information that says he
Correct.
can't.
Once the research was done, we found that it's just a field tile. There's nothing that we can do for him on private property,
So just-
let alone it not being in the sanitary district. Once that information was relayed to the board said, let's not do anything until this area is brought into the sanitary district. Even though it does get brought into the sanitary district, we will not work on private property.
Okay, so, I don't know if
No, we
any-
never have, and we won't. You're
Correct.
good clarification.
I just
But
wanted to
again,
clear that up.
In fact, at the last meeting, I didn't know all the details, and I said, well, we'll do whatever we possibly can to check into this thing and do it. Well, my commitment at that point in time was not that we could do it, okay, but that we would look into it. And again, I think your explanation is really very clear. In other words, when somebody calls us with a problem, our first response is to see if we can help them.
We always try to help.
And then we go from there. But if, in this case, after we did more research, we found those details, as you stated, to be true, not in the district, okay, and on private property. So it's just, but we can solve the problem with the grinder pumps for everybody, the whole neighborhood.
It will solve the sewer problem. It will not solve the problem of the broken pipe in his backyard on private
But it won't be
property.
getting raw sewage in if everybody else is at the
Correct.
grinder pump. So
Absolutely.
the big problem is going to be solved.
Yep.
And again, I know for a fact, without anybody making any kind of commitment to get this thing done, I know for a fact this is on the front burner. The engineering department, the legal department, and everything else is trying to do everything they can in this to not only in your situation, but everybody's home out there, their situation. That's why we, again, said we would take everybody into the sanitary district to help them. So I know it's on the front burner.
I just wanted to add that information.
Thank you. I think it's a good clarification. Okay?
I guess you probably need to keep this, with the record maybe, or with that
Yeah.
particular,
Okay.
just to make sure we have it.
Anybody else want to come forward? And I'm sorry we can't give you a better answer. I really do wish that we could just say, yeah, we can do something. So, anybody else want to come forward? Anything? No? With that, we'll close the meeting. Our next regular scheduled meeting will be Thursday, June 12th, at same location at 10:30. Thank you.